spy. Looks like he's talking to Aubrey Marcus. 53% of millionaires are leaving. They know what's coming. I have my ideas of what's coming. Let's hear what he has to say. He's usually pretty right and on point about everything he's got. So let's hear him out.
You look at Hollywood and you see the glorification of vigilantism, right? The state, they have their hands tied. They can't do what's really needed. What you really need is someone like Denzel Washington, the Equalizer, to come in. And the movies paint a picture where it's like, yeah, of course, Denzel, like, carry out what you're gonna do, but in reality, the dangers why they're always being chased and tracked by the Fed or by whoever else is that this ideology, yes, if you have perfect clarity, there may be a justification. Now that depends on your religious and moral ideas about the use of violence, but it requires a perfect clarity. The problem is that nobody has perfect clarity. Perfect clarity is reserved for God, right? Like, God is omniscient, all-seeing. Right. We have a limited single perspective. We're never going to see the whole picture. So the idea that a human being can carry out God's justice is a fundamentally flawed idea. And
it's a very narcissistic idea. Just like us thinking that we can impact all sorts of different things around the world. Like, ultimately, consciousness, God, the earth itself is so self-regulating that, like, if we don't fix ourselves, there's going to be something else that resets what we're doing. So we've got to be careful we aren't as capable of good or bad as we think we are. We have to learn how to harmonize with our environment. God's will.
Occasionally, maybe, they may be somewhat justified, but more often than not, it's a much higher likelihood that they're going to be making their decision based upon partial or impaired, ideas.
Yeah. Sure. I had this fantastic mentor when I was at CIA who taught me a lesson about dominoes. And he used to always carry 4 dominoes, 2 stacked one way and 2 stacked the opposite way, that would sit on his desk. And he would use these dominoes to kind of explain the concept of cause and effect for all intents and purposes.
What up, viewers?
He would line these dominoes up, and he would say that once one domino in the row is knocked over, it's actually the energy from that first domino that knocks over the second. And then it's the energy from the first and second domino that knock over the third. And then, of course, the final domino has no choice. It's being knocked over by the full energy of the previous 3 dominoes. And he would use this as a metaphor for daily operations. How you wake up and what you eat and how much sleep you got the night before are the first domino in your day. And then the order of what you do in that day. Do you choose to work out right away, or do you choose to drink coffee right away? Do you choose to, kiss your wife and children right away, or do you choose to put on your glasses and go to the office right away? Every decision we make creates energy for the next domino in our day. So
right. It's all about that momentum. That's what I'm realizing. That's why I'm starting early today, because, you wake up early anyways. Like, you can go back to sleep. I don't think that's the right thing to do. You got to make all these decisions and tire yourself out and just continue to think towards that progress and that future all day long. Don't just get to 5 o'clock and then turn it off and doom scroll a bunch of BS. Make sure when you're doom scrolling, it's on something that's teaching you something, and limit it yourself to 20 minutes of it. But, watch some YouTube videos that teach you something. Come over here and get in the chat. What's up, guys? How you doing? Yeah. Matan humiliates everybody. I love that kid. He's great. I love it when he almost broke character with Bobby Lee. Oh, man. Andrew Santino. That was good. He had the little smirks on his face. He almost lost it. It was good. But no, this is Andrew Bustamante, CIA operative. He's great. Sign up for his Everyday Spy program. You guys will get some emails that are really interesting. Change the way you think about things. So.
Then by the time you get to the end of your day, it's out of your control. All of the decisions that you've made have all piled up to the last domino. He also used to use that same metaphor to explain national
Thank you for
level
being
decisions
here.
and how you influence or how you
Hope you're having a good Saturday.
shape what happens at a national level. When I
Was it John
consider his
Michael?
metaphor with where we are now, there's a political domino.
Yeah.
And that political domino has fallen into.
I'll throw some on later. I'll react to some Matan later. Yeah. It's just too funny. I'll bring up the video that I was talking about where he almost breaks character. So watch that. We'll get through this video first. I've got a whole lineup of stuff I want to do today, but we'll get to it.
A fiscal domino.
Thank you for pointing me in that direction.
So now there's two energies that are driving fiscal decisions. That fiscal domino is going to then fall into a social domino. And we're going to see a change in our society because of the fiscal energy and the political energy that have come before it.
Right.
And at some point in time, the last domino is going to drop. And that last domino might be different for everybody. But what I'm seeing is that the cause and effect element is starting to shape how people make their decisions. Because while we all may get entertained by what happens politically, and we all may like to watch the FBI director call a member of the Senate, a buffoon, like just happened. Maybe we like to watch that because it feels like reality TV, but we don't actually like to see the outcome of our fiscal dollar losing value. We don't like to see the uncertainty of what our financial future looks like.
Sure.
One of the outcomes of that financial domino is that 53% of wealthy Americans who have a net worth of $2 million or more, 53% of those Americans are leaving the country. They are getting golden visas or they're actively investing overseas so that they have a way of diversifying their wealth and growing their success outside of the United States because they don't know what's going to happen inside the United States.
That's crazy. 53%. And I've got some family members, maybe they're watching this at some point, like, they ain't in this country, right? They got money. So there's something true about that. And, if you check out my other videos and what I'm going to be doing in the future, I like to watch a lot of people that go to Southeast Asia, not necessarily passport bros, but just people that know how to get citizenships, other passports, so you can be like James Bond with your little passport stash and different currencies, and you can just come and go as you please. That's why it's important. Peace out, little Soapy. You want to make sure that you are always able to bring in money and then always have a place to go. I have a feeling that the wall down south is going to be built to keep us in. And maybe these millionaires know that too.
53%. That means 1 out of every 2 wealthy people already have started investing or getting a second visa or getting a second passport or getting a golden visa to go somewhere else. And that number is expected to increase to 60% by this time in 2027. So in a year, or in 2026, in a year's time, it's going to be 60% of wealthy Americans who have diversified their interests outside of the United States, specifically tied to their citizenship. If you haven't discovered your natural-born spy skills, then somebody else might be using theirs against you. CIA teaches us that there are only 3 types of people in the world: those who motivate, those who manipulate, and those who are being controlled by one of the other 2. I created a 3-minute CIA-style quiz to help you unlock your secret psychological advantage and identify your hidden blind spot. This test was developed to help you weaponize your natural-born gifts and use them to get ahead.
Just keep in mind that everything that somebody that is former CIA tells you, they've been allowed to tell you by the CIA itself. So it's not like they're telling you any secrets like that the CIA doesn't want out, because the CIA has a totally different agenda today than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. They're willing to admit stuff that they're done doing.
Head of 99% of people in power, wealth, and purpose.
Like
it was also designed to make sure that you can protect yourself against those who would use their skills against you. All you have to do is click on the first link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to start your spy quiz now. I want you to discover your secret spy superpower and use it for good before somebody else uses their power against you.
Well, hello, White Rabbit. Miss you guys. Oh man, I need to pay for YouTube.
Not a financial plan.
Sorry, make you guys watch my ads along with your own ads. This is terrible, right? Can't wait to get back to Cambodia though. I'm coming. Gonna bring a friend, and grow food and start working and just live in the Wild West, you know? They call it the East, but if you keep going west from here, that's where we wind up. Pretty cool. Miss it out there. You guys are great. There we go. Back to it. My bad.
Vote of confidence.
That's not a strong vote of confidence.
For where we're going, and obviously all the prayers that we will get to where we're going. I think, for me, one of the real tragedies of the Charlie Kirk assassination was it wasn't what he believed, angel numbers. It's how he went about it. I really believe personally, it's my personal belief, that the public Charlie Kirk was the real Charlie Kirk, that he was actually saying what he believed and actually speaking about it, and then having conversations with other people about what they really believed. And they were contesting their ideas. I saw a clip.
No, Charlie Kirk, he... before he got really famous, he signed a contract, and he's said about like 20% of the stuff that he talked about were someone else's points that they wanted him to say. And that's part of the contract, and he had to live up to it. So 80% of it was all genuine from his heart, but then 20% of it was just a bunch of nonsense. So that just adds to the conspiracy theory that Candace Owens is spitting, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Where somebody... they were in a debate, and that's what Charlie Kirk would do. He would go to a place where there would be opposition, and he would, tell his people, all right, we're going to let these people talk. We're going to actually receive what they have to say, and then we're going to debate their ideas. And this gentleman, he wasn't able to debate Charlie Kirk's ideas, so he challenged him to a fist fight. And Charlie was like, the point of our civilization is that we don't have to resort to violence, that we can allow our ideas to contest in the field, the philosophical, landscape of ideas. So our ideas fight so that we don't have to.
Right. And that's something that I always like to preach. Like people that constantly carrying around guns and all that, those are the cowards in this world. If you're a real human, you fight with your words, man. Like, we're civilized people. Like, I don't know. This violent culture, and I don't know. It's just destruction. It's got to stop.
And I believe that he stood for having those debates and having those conversations and actually allowing the ideas to contest themselves rather than the people. And I think that points a way forward. And I can only hope that, whatever you believe about Charlie's premises, again, I had, a lot of qualms with Charlie's premises. He didn't believe the same things that I believed, but the way he went about sharing his beliefs and receiving the challenges to his beliefs, I absolutely think is the way. Like, we have to start having those conversations and allow our ideas to contest themselves publicly so that we can see it, and then understand that the way that we actually combat is not with guns and sniper rifles. It's with ideas.
Amen. Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah, that is the path forward, and that is the path that I think has the biggest question mark on it, because that path takes patience. It takes work. It takes efforts.
Not to mention how many movies and video games, and just like pop culture in general, it's just constantly showing us like saving the day with guns and all this like glorification of sex and relationships and money, and I don't know, like it is like Robin Hood and all that, like steal from the rich, give to the poor. But it's, I don't know, it's just really dark, and it's programming, and that's why they call it television. It's telling you the vision to have, and we all feel like we have to defend ourselves with this advanced weaponry, and it's nonsense.
And not only is that path on its own energy intensive, but we also have to...
Like, before the guns were really powerful and accurate, in the Civil War, right, in America, they'd all shoot, and then they'd like run out of their little pellets, their little BB guns, basically, and they would like go up there with swords and their bayonets, and they would look like they're fighting, right? And then eventually the trumpet would sound to like break it up and separate, and there'd be no one dead on the ground. They were all like pretend fighting and not really killing each other, because humans don't want to kill each other. Just like other animals, we don't want to kill our own. Like, that's not natural. The gun takes it away. The drone takes it away. The plane takes it away. The battleship takes it away. But when you're looking another person in the eyes, it's totally different.
To steer ourselves off of our current path to get to that path, to get to the place where our ideals stand for themselves, where the contest is a contest of thoughts and ideas and philosophy.
Yes.
As we collectively choose what we want to be. Because that silent majority that sits between the far left and the far right, that silent majority is so much more aligned than we realize. Mm-hmm. It's so much more aligned than we realize, but they're silent. They don't verbalize their ideas. They don't show up to events. They don't leave comments on YouTube or on Instagram, right? They are silent in what they do. So as a result, we see the chaos of the two extremes.
Challenge you, like, there's a reason you're friends with people on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it might be, following me on YouTube. Leave a comment. What's it take? Like 10 seconds? Like, just say something, even if it's just hello. Like some of you in the chat. I love that. So, you're my long lost father? That's great. Say something like that. Just engage. Why not? You know? Say hi to somebody that you haven't seen in a while. Send them a video that, just like share a video and then just like scroll through and see who, like, oh, this person will like it. This person will like it. Just send it to them. You know? It doesn't take long. And like, it's not a big deal if you're in someone's inbox, like, and they don't respond. That's fine. That's okay. But just reach out. Just, you know, let them know, like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Because it's all those little things that remind us of community, and we impact our sphere of influence. Like he said earlier, domino after domino. If someone around you is having a bad day, but you're having a good day, don't you notice that they start to just like kind of change a little bit? And hopefully when they interact with somebody else, it just continues forward. That's how we change the world, little by little. Kind of like we only live in the now, you know? Same concept.
And everybody in the middle is just watching. What we don't realize is it's the people in the middle that are going to be the most affected by the decisions that are coming to light as a result of the two extremes. Yeah. And if we let ourselves keep swinging back and forth, then we're not in a good place. I like to use the example of Adolf Hitler here, not because of Hitler himself, but because of the actions that led to Adolf Hitler. There was a parliament that voted to create the position of the Führer. And that same group of bureaucrats were the ones that appointed Adolf Hitler to that position. So there are many, many steps that could have prevented from this all-powerful man. There's many steps that could have prevented from the position of a Führer. And I'm not saying that we ourselves are in the position of having a Hitler, but there's a sequence of events, there's a series of dominoes that lead to that kind of government, to lead to that kind of central autocracy. And we are on a path that could be a similar path. So we have to ask ourselves, is that the path? Is that where we want to end up? Mm-hmm. Or do we want a different city?
I mean,
you know, that also reminds me of, like, think of your day, like those little balls of momentum that click back and forth. If you take one on this side and you pull it way up here, like you make it, just like imagine like doing something really hard in your day and let it go. And then it swings in and slaps the other balls. This one swings up way up high too. So like if you really like struggle through something and like force yourself to do something you don't want to do, well, bam, you gain all this momentum. And like later in the day, your joy and alleviation and healing gets to a point that's much higher than it would have been if you just stayed in this little slow momentum cycle, as above, so below. So on like a macro level, you look at society, things look really bad right now, but just imagine we're just pulling that ball real high, then we're going to let it go. Whack! We have this opportunity right now for all that momentum to swing into a really, really positive place. And as long as all those little balls in the middle are lined up, all those little dominoes, and we all know that, like, hey, if we just fall this way, boom, we can carry ourselves to a better future. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
Is this potentially what the end game looks like for those kind of deeper state powers that have been, kind of orchestrating that? We don't know exactly what they are or who they are or what their motives are, but it seems like if you wanted the end result to be a centralized autocratic power, a new Führer, a new kind of, whether that's a technocracy that controls an AI-driven technocracy that controls the people, or a single individual, but this kind of totalizing of control, it seems like there's been dominoes that have been knocked over that lead to a high likelihood of that being the outcome, where the people say, we need more, totalizing control so that we feel safe.
And that's the trend, I think, that we're seeing around the world.
Safety.
When you see not just obvious autocracies like Saudi Arabia that still has a kingdom, or China that has a central Politburo, but when you also look at countries like Israel. Israel has Netanyahu in power. He's been in power for 18 years. They are they are a democracy.
BB.
They are absolutely a free market. However, they are a very strong centralized power. And that's why we continue to see Israel making decisions that are independent of the UN, independent of the best interest of their allies, independent of arguably the best interest of even their own long-term role as an international player. And in response to mounting pressure, Netanyahu, when he speaks to his own people, he tells them it's time for us to prepare for what might be a period of time where we are fully isolated by the rest of the world. So that means and he's not crazy, he's not interpreted as crazy among his own people, right? As Israelis choose whether they are pro-Bibi or not pro-Bibi, and there are plenty of people on both sides, the austerity measures that he is preparing them for, a self-sufficient Israel, meaning they feed themselves and they live off of their own internal economy, and they basically cut themselves off from the rest of the world. That's an option that they are realistically considering. That's an option that the prime minister is saying from the pulpit when he speaks to his own people. And it's not unheard of. It's not...
The only way that would work is if the Greater Israel Project works. If you guys haven't seen that map, I suggest looking it up real quick. Maybe I'll bring up a video all about it. Let's talk about expanded borders there. Jeez. Because they would need it.
It's not ludicrous to them. It's a very real option on the table. That completely undoes what we've been working on even before World War II. The idea of a unified, peaceful, cooperative human race. We are actively engaging in conversations where we are considering opting out of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's there's many stories from history of warring tribes. You can look at, city-states in Italy, or we then kind of moved into this more global, okay, there's the United Nations, we're all going to roughly work together. And then now it seems like we're actually spreading potentially further apart, at least multipolar in our way, which has always been the case to some degree. But yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally, at some point, we have to look at the world's problems as all of our problems.
Right.
Like, we all share the same home. Like
one.
if you have somebody destroying one part of your home and then drilling into the water pipes in your bathroom, all the water in the house is going to go out, right? Like you can't have a shared home and not get along with your
Bring
roommates.
back the village.
It's not going to fucking work. And I'm not seeing like a lot of the cooperative efforts going on at that level of...
Because the people who took control of this world in the 1800s, roughly, into the early 1900s, 20th century, they're the ones who decided to change everything. We have power, free power systems, like it's totally possible, free electricity, but that's where they gain their control, is through gas and oil, electricity. the energy that we need to survive and move. And it's just disgusting. And they use all those byproducts from the oil refining process to, like make fertilizers and polyester clothing and plastics. It's just absurd. These people who are in control, these families that have names that we don't know about, that all move as one big unit. We've got to be aware of them. Don't have to get upset about it, but like we have to, build our communities again and create villages again and communicate and live righteously and help one another. Build peace, not war.
The infrastructure level of governments, but I am seeing it at the somewhat encouraging signs at the consciousness level, where more people are becoming aware of those older, traditional
Siba.
indigenous beliefs. Aho, Mentako, Yeo, Yasin, we are all related. These ideas. So it's this interesting battle that's happening between the momentum of legacy institutions in these win-lose metrics, in this competition race to the bottom, and then this kind of rise of a more holistic consciousness, which sees everybody as a child of God and as a brother or a sister.
And I agree with you, because I'm seeing the same thing. We were just talking about it off camera.
Aubrey Marcus, I love that guy.
I am finding that the more I engage with highly successful, highly productive, high achievers, the more they are asking that spiritual question, the more they are exploring, how do I connect with an energy source that is a completely different vibration, that is something more true, something more organic,
natural,
than the frequencies that are coming from the airwaves. Because there's so much frenetic negative energy, so much frenetic competition and conflict, that even biologically we can feel that it's not right. Human beings don't, as an organic creature, we don't seek out conflict. We seek out consistency. We seek out parity. We seek out peace.
Yeah.
Because we all understand that survival is preeminent, and conflict does not guarantee survival.
It does not.
But cooperation, collaboration does. It's why we are tribal by nature. It's why the individual instinct is unnatural to us.
Right.
It's much easier for us to be the silent majority and appear like we fit in and keep our opinions to ourselves, because that ensures our long-term survival subconsciously. The idea of seeking conflict, of being confrontational, of debating our ideas is counter to our instinct to try to survive. But we have these people asking the question, how do I get to the truth? How do I get to something that is energetic?
It's called resonance.
And I find that the question is always coupled with the question of plant-based medicine.
Yep.
It's always coupled with the idea of meditation. It's always coupled with the idea of something that is yet to be defined in mainstream science.
If you like that video, you're going to love the next one, and I'll see you there.
Andrew Bustamante, he's great. You should check out his Everyday Spy program. Just go take the test real quick. He'll just give you a little insight into like what kind of person you are, how you think, like what your advantages and what your disadvantages, like psychologically, and just how you interact with other people. Like for me, he said, I'm one of those people that is able to think like through all the possible outcomes, but it's also my detriment because like I'll go through and be like, what's the point? So it's really cool, the results that you'll get from that. And even signing up for his class, like it's great to just join the community. His book is great. It's cool that all these CIA guys are coming out of the woodwork and at least teaching us some of the stuff they know, right? Yeah, I know, Matthew. It's funny, right? Let's see, but you're funny. Aditya, yo, don't vape, bro. I know, like, I probably shouldn't. But my doctor says my lungs sound great. At least I'm not smoking, right? Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to move on to the next video. Feel free to jump into that one once I go live. It should take like 2 minutes. But peace out until then. Thanks for coming in here.